I think the essential thing that I take away from this experience is definitely, understanding the similarities between different types of problems people are trying to solve. And I'm so impressed and humbled by the peer group that they've gathered together at interesting places in everyone's career. So no one's at the beginning, and everyone has some idea of where they want to go next, and is unsure, exactly what those boundaries are going to be for their own path. But and I think that the collective experience of coming together and trying to support each other to create, the vision that we see, a better vision that as we understand it, has been really powerful. And I've personally, gotten a lot of, I think, positive feedback in a really supportive environment, which is really unusual. In a typical, when I receive feedback at work, although it's valuable and I appreciate it, it's in like an extremely structured, this is what we've seen from you over the past year, and this is what and receiving feedback from strangers is almost more helpful, because it's jarring how much it resonates with you, and then you realize like how exposed you really are. So I think that that's been really interesting and valuable for me, is like understanding what's obvious to everyone else but might not be obvious to yourself. It kind of speaks to people in different languages, and I think that that's something else I really appreciate. We have poets, and we have naturists, and scientists, and designers, and leaders in all types of fields, people in politics, and people in the private sector, and people in the public sector. And being able to parse out the similarities and the differences to understand like what are the best practices in all of these different fields that we can bring together and actually be creative about how we're solving old problems. I think that's really valuable, and I've never been in a small but still extremely diverse forum, where it's extremely supportive and everyone agrees on some fundamental values, but approaches the problem with different enough perspective that you can have great insight on your own life and work. Definitely. I think one thing that's unique about the group that we have together here, about 20 of us or so, is that, people are all, it's not mid-career, we're all young, but we all have some idea of what we want to do, and definitely some idea of what we don't want to do, which is maybe even more important. And so we're not here building something necessarily together on purpose, but it's bringing different components of ideas together to build something, almost by combustion. And I think that process, that additive process, has taught us all that you have to understand where your colleagues and peers are at until you can start to move together towards a solution. And that's something that I can remember, be mindful of in the way I approach my colleagues and the way we approach the end users and our beneficiaries of our work and my boss and my family and our community. So I think that central idea of just meeting people where they're at and understanding how you can harness that to work together instead of at odds is a valuable lesson. Tallberg is great. It's so beautiful, and even this morning I was going for a walk. I was going to say before the sunrise in almost any other city, but many hours after the sunrise in Tallberg. And it's just I love seeing when there's no synthetic boundaries on how people live their lives. Like, it doesn't really get dark, it doesn't really get light. And this morning at 6, I saw people gardening and out for walks and with their dogs. And, it seems to be, it's a small town where, it's just beautiful, and you're completely removed from your everyday. And so in that, it's almost like a fairy tale. When you walk down the path towards the lake, it looks like a blue screen. Like, is that real? I feel like I can just reach out and touch the lake, and then you realize, no, this is an actual landscape. And some people get to live in it every day.